Hold on to your diapers, the Rugrats are back! And we finally got our first official trailer of the upcoming CG animated reboot headed to Paramount Plus on May 27th. Of course, I'll be breaking the trailer down bit by bit and diving into all the new reveals and Easter eggs within. There is a lot to cover here, so let's get into it. Before we do get into it though, don't forget to hit that like button down below. It does wonders in getting my content out there, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date with all the cartoon news. So, we all know by now that our favourite classic Nickelodeon team are back on our screens, but this time in CGI. While we have seen a few brief clips, this trailer is our first extended look at this new style of animation in action in a variety of different situations. Of course, as is to be expected from a Rugrats series, this trailer puts a huge focus on the adventurous aspect of this new iteration. Of course, the original series often featured the babies off on grand adventures, which were really just heightened depictions of their daily playtime. In fact, the trailer even proclaims that this series will offer bigger imagination than before and the team's biggest adventures ever, which, judging by the scope and scale of CG animation, which completely outdoes the limitations of the traditional style, is absolutely true. Of course, leading the way is Tommy's Indiana Jones knockoff Okie Dokie Jones, an alter ego that became a beloved staple of the original series and movies. Here it seems Okie Dokie will be leading the team on quests into forbidden caves and temples, mystical journeys into unknown reaches of the planet, and into perilous escapades that are ripped directly from Indiana Jones films themselves. According to Entertainment Weekly, the first episode of the series will be titled Second Time Around, and will feature Tommy leading the babies on a daring adventure to help Chucky after his big attempt to be brave goes horribly wrong. It's also said that this episode will involve dinosaurs. So right off the bat, we'll be kicking the series off with a dinosaur age adventure, which looks to take enormous cues from the original Jurassic Park. As always though, the adventures are quite literally depictions of the babies' imaginations, and it appears that this dino-ridden sequence is possibly taking place in some kind of prehistoric play park. It's great to see that this series, which is quite obviously aimed at the new generations of young audiences, is still keeping its 90s heart, particularly in the way that it'll be riffing on popular franchises of films from the time. It's a similar approach to what Warner's recent Animaniacs revival took. While it's new, it still offers something for fans of old, just like myself. Of course though, a big part of the Rugrats' original charm was how timely and relevant it was, and while the 90s nostalgia will provide a great trip, it'll only go so far. This series still needs to hold onto those classic elements of being modern and relevant. So as we can see here, the series will also be riffing on modern popular culture, as seen in this obvious Avengers takeoff sequence. You can bet that if comic book cinema was as huge back in the 90s as it is now, the Rugrats would have been off on dozens and dozens of superpowered adventures. Of course, outside of these fantasies, we get to see quite a few glimpses of the Rugrats' real-world adventures, which were just as important to the original series as the more imaginative escapades. There's a few wonderful moments of the team working together and getting along, Tommy as always offering Chucky the encouragement he needs to get the job done, the team supporting each other through thick and thin, Tommy leading the pack into the great unknown with his trusty screwdriver by his side, the gang causing a ruckus during their indoor playtime, and of course, a little bit of love for the team's pooch Spike. Of course though, it wouldn't be a Rugrats playtime without the mean old Angelica causing some trouble. She's seen here pretentiously showing off, stealing things from the helpless babies, and ultimately getting her comeuppance in the most hilarious way possible. There's lots of incredible iconography here as well. We get to see Tommy's prized Reptar doll and his trusty screwdriver, Angelica's Cynthia doll, and of course, her electric Cynthia car, which is featured heavily in a series of gags which appear to show the babies hijacking it and tearing up not only the backyard, but the neighborhood as well. Just about every character here gets a brief speaking role in the trailer as well. We have of course heard Tommy, Chucky and Angelica speaking in previous previews, but this is the first time we get to hear Phil and Lil and Susie speaking. Tommy even gets to deliver his "a baby's gotta do what a baby's gotta do," and Angelica gets to say "you dumb babies." Of course, all of the surviving cast from the original series are back to voice the babies, and they sound exactly as they did 30 years ago. I feel like if this series didn't make an effort to reunite this original cast, it wouldn't be working as well as I personally feel it is right here. The only exceptions to original casting are the adult characters, all of which have been replaced with new voice actors. We do get a very brief glimpse at Dee Dee and Stu Pickles and Chaz Finster, the first time we're seeing their CG counterparts in movement. And we get to hear Tommy Dewey's voice for Stu, which actually sounds quite good. For fans still hoping to see a glimpse of either Dill or Kimmy, you are out of luck. It really does look like these characters are skipping this series out. But don't forget, these characters weren't introduced until much later in the original show, so it's most likely that they will be introduced into this one at some point later down the line. As a kid who grew up with the Rugrats and endured hundreds of reruns of the earliest episodes, as funny as it may seem, when I think Rugrats, I usually think of those early seasons without these two characters. So to me, this new series feels as traditional as you can possibly get. I am, however, most definitely looking forward to seeing how they introduce those two down the line. It's been really tough to judge the animation style that this series has gone with so far, given that most of our previews currently have either been incredibly fleeting or non-eventful. But after this trailer, I think we can all grasp a good idea of what the creative team is going for here. Of course, there's going to be people complaining that they don't like it or that it shouldn't be CG animated in the first place. And yes, those complaints are fine, but like it or not, welcome to the 21st century. CGI is the norm now, and this is a series for new generations who have grown up on and want this stuff. To me, this animation looks fantastic. Yes, it's a little rough around the edges, it feels a little jolty and limited, almost like claymation, but don't forget that the animation in the original series' first few seasons at least was incredibly rough. It was part of the show's charm and inimitable style. I feel the creative team here have tried to add this same charm and edge to this new series, and it's working incredibly well for me. As far as I'm concerned, this series has already ticked all of the boxes that make the Rugrats Rugrats. This is just about as true and respectful to the original source as we could possibly hope for, and I think it just looks truly wonderful. It not only looks to offer a fantastic kick to the nostalgia, but also a nice modern edge that makes it look like it's got something new to offer for young and old. Once again, Rugrats debuts on Paramount Plus on May 27, 2021, and I can't wait to see some more. If you'd like to keep up to date with all the biggest cartoon news, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more regular installments like this. And if you're keen on diving deep into the history of all your favourite animated characters, don't forget to check out my continuing Cartoon Evolution series linked at the end of the video. And at that, I'm throwing it over to you. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the Rugrats reboot now that we've got a pretty good idea of what this series is going to be offering us? Fire away down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.